Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I must admit, I'm a little bit nervous. This is going to be maybe the biggest video that I've ever filmed because it's going to be all about the new Covergirl stuff. Last week, I was just shopping in Meijer when I came across the new display of all of the new Covergirl stuff. And you guys, I had no idea that this stuff was even coming out, so I had one of those moments in the drugstore where I just about freaked out in the aisle, and people were probably looking at me, but that's okay. I do have a few photos to share with you guys of the actual displays, and starting with the one that kind of had all of the eye products in it. This display had Katy Perry on it, and also the new Plumpifying Mascara, the 3 new eyeshadow palettes from Covergirl, and then I think there was also a liner on there. Don't hold me to it though, because I think it was either just reformulated or repackaged. I don't believe that it was brand new. And then under that was a brand new lip product display featuring their Oh Sugar, and yes, you have to say it like that, vitamin infused lip balms. And when I came across this, guys, it was untouched. I got to look at every single color. So we might as well go ahead and run through what I picked up. I did want to mention that when I found these at Meijer, they were buy one, get one 50% off. So just make sure to look for deals like that if you're into these products and you want to try them. But of course I had to get the Plumpify Mascara. This did come in 3 shades and then also a black waterproof version. So there were 4 altogether. As far as the palettes go, I did get 2 of the 3 because I just couldn't decide. I got the Nudes one and then also the Roses, which is the one I'm wearing today thanks to you guys for voting on Instagram. And then for the lip products, I did get 3 of the 10 shades. So let's go ahead and dive into everything. Are you guys ready? And let's start with the eyeshadows. Getting into the packaging on these, I thought they were really cute. They really caught my eye with like this metallic, almost cursive like word or like name down on the bottom. I just thought that was so cute. But on the front, it just says Covergirl TruNaked. It has the little new sticker. But the one very interesting thing that was on all of these is this little sticker right here, and it says shades like a leading $50 eyeshadow palette. I wonder which one they're talking about. Say it with me, Urban Decay. For $10.99, you do get 8 shades in each one of the palettes, and I feel like that price is not bad at all, especially for the quality of these. I've been really blown away. The only thing that I have to complain about like the packaging on these is the fact that there's no mirror, but hey, I can live with that. Getting into the colors though, I do want to start with the nudes, and on the back there are also names for the colors, which I just noticed, but we're gonna go ahead and run through each one and I'll kind of describe it and then compare it to the Urban Decay versions. Now, not all of these are going to have an exact like replica from the Urban Decay palette. I think altogether in both of these there was only about 8 that really matched, but let's go ahead and get into the shades. My dad just woke up, so I had to close the door. Starting with this lightest shade, this is Buff, and the way I described it was a cream with gold shimmer. Now, it's not anything too shimmery. This makes a beautiful highlight, but the one that I did find that was comparable was from the original Urban Decay Naked palette. And all of these will be coming from this original palette, but the one that was in there was Virgin. The only difference is that this one tends to be a little bit more on the whiter side, and Virgin is a little bit more champagne-y. Next up is Shell, and this I like for highlighting or washing it all over the lid because it's super similar to my skin tone, but the only way I could really describe it was like a really light creamy off-white color. Number 3 is called Champagne, and this is a really nice light goldy rosy color with a little bit of gold shimmer, and when I swatched this next to Sin from the original Naked palette, it was almost an exact match. Next up is Fawn, and this one I definitely think they were trying to go with like something like Urban Decay Buck because it's almost that light matte transition color that's in the brown family, but it's a little bit cool in this palette, and I've really liked this for my crease and buffing it out. It just makes things look super blended. But the one thing I will say, when swatched next to Buck, it really didn't hit the mark. Buck is a lot more warm, and they're 2 completely different colors. This next one is definitely in the taupe family, and in this palette it is called Mink. Now, I would describe this as a metallic-y taupe color with light gold shimmer, and when I swatched this next to Sidecar, oh my gosh, it was like a dead-on dupe. And that's huge because I feel like Sidecar is such an iconic Urban Decay shade, and you can practically get it in this palette for $11. Now we're getting into the deeper side of things as far as the palette goes, and up next is Cocoa. Now this to me is your typical matte brown. It's not too deep, it's not really in the medium family, it's just a really, really nice color to put in your crease. Number 7 is called Coffee. Now this is a deeper brown with almost reddish gold shimmer, but when I did swatch this, it really just comes off as like a deep brown with like a goldier iridescence to it. And lastly, your darkest shade in here is called Sable, and in the pan it does look like it's a black, but it's a really deep brown. Is it the best deep brown I've ever found? No, but I definitely think for the drugstore that it's really, really nice. It's also matte, which I love for dark shades, and it is a little bit more cooler than that second to last one, which was called Coffee. Getting into the Roses palette, which like I said is the one that I wore today, I'm gonna go ahead and point out the colors that I have in my eye look going on as we go, but I would definitely say that this is more in like the purpley family than the rosy family. And when I was really comparing this to the Naked 3, that one tends to be a little bit more pink than this one, so I'm not quite sure why they called this Roses, but nonetheless I still thought it was beautiful. But getting into the first shade, this is called Almond, and this is just your really, really nice off-white satin finish highlight. You could also use this all over the lid as a base. It's just a super everyday color that fits really well in this palette. Next up is Champagne, and this is the first metallic one of this bunch, and this, like I said, is kind of like a rosy gold metallic with light gold shimmer, and when I compared this to Dust from the Naked 3 palette, it was a really nice match. The only difference was that Dust was just a little bit more pink. Number 3 is called Baby, and I think that's a little bit weird of a name, but anyway, I do have it in my crease today because I love this as a crease shade. It's a light, almost to medium, it's kind of in the middle there, light, dusty, rosy, purpley color. It's just very, very light. I feel like it creates a lot of depth in my crease without being too harsh, and this was definitely one of my favorites of the palette for sure. Number 4 is called Rose Gold, and it's just that. This is a really nice metallic-y rosy gold color with gold sparkle. This just has the most beautiful metallic finish, and I just find it so beautiful over the lid, which is where I'm wearing it today, and every time I've worn this shade on my lids. But the one that it did compare to in the Naked 3 palette was Trick. They were definitely in the same family. They were very, very similar. The only difference was that Trick was a little bit more pigmented and bright. Number 5 is called Copper Rose, and I don't know why they called it that because there is no copper in this at all, but it's a really nice matte deep shade for your crease that's in like the mauve family. I really, really look at these two matte shades in this palette, which are Baby and Copper Rose, and I feel like Copper Rose is like 2 shades darker than Baby, and it just makes the eye look so purple when I add it to my crease. Next up is a shade called Dusk, and this is really pretty because it's almost like a taupey purple color with purple and pink like glitters in it, but they don't really come across on the eyes very much. I do have this in my outer corner just buffed out today, so it's really just a shade that deepens things up even though it looks super pretty in the pan. And I do want to point out that I kind of feel like Covergirl was going for Nooner and Limit from the Urban Decay 3 palette with these two matte shades. But because this palette is way more purple than the Naked 3 and the Naked 3 is more pink, they just weren't really comparable at all. On to the last two. The second to last one is called Mauvergine. What? It's Mauvergine or something like that, but I even Googled it and Google can't even find that word, so I have no idea what they're going for. But let me look at my little list because I did describe this as a satin deep purpley taupe color, and this was very, very similar to Factory from the Naked 3. And last but not least, you have a Mousse. Now, I don't know why this is called Mousse. I just feel like the names on these, I don't know, they don't really go with the colors. But this one was trying to be just like Blackheart from the Naked 3, and I actually just put them both on my hand because I wanted to take another look at them. The only differences I can see is that they're both really deep, but this one tends to be a more satin finish and the glitter is not as prominent. But with the Naked 3 one, it's almost like a little bit more neutral of a color and the glitter is way more noticeable. Personally though, I'm thinking the Covergirl one looks deeper and a little bit more opaque. That's kind of crazy. So those are all the shades in the Roses palette, and I think out of the two palettes, this one is my favorite. Just because I have a lot of neutral stuff already and it's been really fun playing around with these purple tones. In a nutshell, I just love these things, and especially for the drugstore, the quality is just so there. I'm so happy with Covergirl. Are these the best eyeshadows I've ever tried? No, but as far as the other drugstore options that are out there, these to me are definitely the best as far as palettes go. All the shades are super velvety, opaque. They are easy to work with. The only downside with the formula that I had with these is that they do kick up a little bit of powder, like when I'm dipping my brush into them. so they can be a little bit messy, but guys, for the price point, I will definitely keep both of these, use them daily, and I feel like these would be great for beginners as well as people who love makeup like me because these are just so easy to reach for. And I've also worn these without primer with absolutely no creasing. Plus, I love the variety of colors. I just can't get over that in these palettes. The fact that there's light, medium, and deep shades, and when you look at this, you can just see that right off the bat. And I also love how they featured two really shimmery metallic shades. I just feel like with all of these colors in both palettes, you can create so many different looks. Now we are finally moving on to the mascara. Sorry if I talked your ear off with those eyeshadow palettes, but as far as this goes, this is the Covergirl Plumpify Blast Pro Mascara, and this was $8.99 at Meijer. This is said to give you 50 times more volume, plump, and lift, and this has a very, very interesting brush. I've never really seen one like this before. As far as the wand goes, it is very, very unique, but to me, it's really big and bulky, and that's something that I don't love. You can see on here that it does contain plastic bristles, which is not one of my favorites. I tend to always poke my eye out, but it also has this really interesting like twirly shape to it. Hopefully you can see, but it does have different kinds of bristles on this thing, and where it twirls, some of them are shorter and then some are actually sideways. So I still don't really know what those are supposed to do because I'm not sure how they're supposed to comb through the lashes. But the one thing that I actually did find helpful with this was the spiky ball at the end, because I feel like the actual bristles on the wand itself aren't super long, so it was really hard for me to get some separation through my lashes, but that's where that little spiky ball came in handy. And I don't know, typically I just think of those as like a torture device and they look scary to me, but in this case it was really helpful. As far as the formula goes, I did end up really liking this stuff, but it was a little bit tricky to get used to, but I think that was mostly because of the brush. As far as the formula goes though, it's definitely a nice balance between being too wet and too dry, but it also built really well. You just have to let it dry on your lashes a little bit between coats. As far as the wear, there were no issues there, no flaking, no smudging, nothing like that, which was really nice to see. And so even though I like this mascara, it just didn't blow me out of the water, and I don't feel like it's better than some of the other formulas that I already own. And hooray, we are finally onto the tinted lip balm. So like I said before, these are the Covergirl O Sugar Vitamin Infused Balms, and these did say they have quite a few things in them, so I'm gonna go ahead and read that off of my little notebook here because I can't remember them. So the display did say that they're infused with avocado butter, grapeseed oil, and that they have a fresh citrus scent. No. For some reason, these do not come off citrusy at all to me, and they don't smell that great. But the display also compares them to a $20 lip balm. So I was like sitting in bed last night trying to think of what that would be, and the only one I could really think of was like the fresh sugar ones. And I think if that's what they're trying to do, the fresh ones are still way better. As far as the packaging goes on these, I do like them. I love how colorful they are, and the square packaging is really easy to hold on to. The names all have something to do with either sweets or food. I really haven't figured exactly that out yet. I think it's more like sweets though. But these do just come off like that, and they look like a typical lipstick. As far as the colors go, I did go for the deeper range of ones. I don't know, for me and the light ones, they just never pack enough color for me. So the first one that I wanted to tell you about is number 6, which is Punch, and this is a really pretty sheer red. Next up would be number 8, which is Sprinkle, and this is just a sheer fuchsia, and it actually ended up being my favorite in the one that I'm wearing today. And number 9, Jelly, which is a sheer berry color. Whenever I come across a new tinted lip balm, there are 2 things that I look out for the most. Number 1 would be moisturization, just because that is like what these things are supposed to do, and plus with these winter months coming up, I need all the moisture I can get. And 2 would be the color, because you guys know I like color on my lips. So as far as the moisturization with these, like little bullet point number 1, they were okay. They definitely didn't dry my lips out, but they didn't keep them hydrated all day either. It was just one of those things where they were really comfortable. I just didn't feel like I could just skip the chapstick. As far as the color goes though, I was really happy with the color payoff of these. With tinted lip balms, I just feel like they're either too sheer or too dark, and I just felt like these were a super happy medium, plus I loved the glossy finish. As far as the wear with these, they were really nice, but the only thing I have to say is you do have to reapply these continuously throughout the day, which I think is pretty typical with like such a light lip product, but because of that, they tended to build up on my lips a little bit, and that's just something I personally don't love. So throughout the day, as I was wearing these, I would just keep reapplying it on top of each other, and when it did wear down, I was still left with a little bit of color and product on my lips. So once I got to reapplying it like 2, 3, 4 times, I just felt like my lips were feeling a little bit heavy. They weren't as moisturized. So at that point, I would just take like a paper towel or something and wipe off all of the remaining product and then just reapply with like a fresh application. As I was using these, one product in particular popped into my brain though, because I realized that these are so much like the Sephora Kiss Me Balms. It's crazy. But the scent is what tipped me off with these, because as I was using Sprinkle one day and I was realizing that it was not a citrus scent like they said, at least to me, and I realized it smelled so much like the Sephora Kiss Me Balm and Soda Pop, which smells like root beer, strangely enough. So just in case you own some of these Sephora balms, I just wanted to throw out the shade comparisons for you guys, and also as far as price goes, they are exactly the same. The Covergirl ones are $7.99 each and the Sephora ones are $8. As far as the two that were most similar, they were the berry ones. So the one in Jelly from Covergirl and the Sephora Kiss Me Balm in Soda Pop were almost a dead-on match. Next up was Punch and Candy Apple from Sephora. Now these two were really close. The only difference I noticed was that Punch was a little bit more vibrant and a little bit more orange. And the last two that weren't as similar were Sprinkle and Strawberry Fizz. And like I said, Sprinkle was my favorite out of the Covergirl ones, and would you believe that Strawberry Fizz is my favorite out of the Sephora ones? That's just so funny. As far as the colors go, they weren't super similar. As far as Strawberry Fizz, it was a lot more opaque and bright, really, than like any of these after I swatched them all out, and it was a little bit more berry than Sprinkle. Oh my gosh, so I feel like I've been talking a mile a minute. I just feel like I have crammed so much into this video, but I really hope you guys found it helpful, and if you did, please give it a huge thumbs up. If you want to check out any of the other makeup I'm wearing today, I'll have it all listed down below for you guys, as well as all of the Covergirl stuff and all of the shades, and as soon as the links to the actual products, the actual Covergirl products are available, I'll go ahead and include those for you. Sometimes it just takes a little bit more time to get the new products onto all of the websites, so hopefully that's done, but if not, I'll come back and do it when they're available. Also, please let me know if you guys want to try any of these Covergirl products, what you think, if you have tried them. I just love hearing your guys' opinions too. But other than that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, have a great holiday, and I'll be sure to see you in my next video. Bye!